Does anyone remember when they suddenly gained consciousness of what's happening as a child? Funnily enough, it was the exact moment my mother put my birthday cake down in front of me on my fourth birthday. All of a sudden, my head went, I am four, and meant not just that I knew my age, but that there is an I and that I is me. Blew my little mind so hard I still remember every detail about that birthday cake. Damn, I thought I was crazy and no one else had experienced this phenomenon. I remember clearly when I was about 5 or younger. I was in a department store and suddenly woke up following a couple of adults. I had an idea who they were, but not sure what to call them. I started calling out to my mom, Mommy, Mama, Mom. I had no idea what I was supposed to call her. She turned back to me and told me, It's Mama. That was my wake-up point in life. So weird. I remember mine. I don't remember everything since then, but this is the earliest I can fully remember being capable of making decisions and processing my thoughts. When I was probably 5, 7 years old, I was sitting in my living room eating a PB&J sandwich for dinner. Our front door was just to the left of me in a hallway. My parents had been fighting, and I remember seeing them walk down the hall as my dad headed for the door, and he turned around, pushing my mom on the ground before leaving. I just remember getting up and asking my mom if she was okay. It didn't really make me cry until a long time later. I was just worried about my mom. After that, I don't remember what happened, but I just know that I made the conscious decision to not cry, and it's the clearest, earliest memory I have, especially the sound of the impact. My earliest memory was when I was nearly 2 years old. I remember my mother bringing home my newly born sister. I was looking outside the window, climbing the chair so I could see. My old nanny went to the gate to open it, and my mom and dad had brought home my sister in one of those baby baskets you got. They'd come back from the hospital. It was morning, almost noon. My neighbor's house wasn't fully painted yet. We had two dogs, one of which, whose name I can't remember. In that moment, I thought, oh, I don't count that one as the true moment of conscious. I mean, I became aware, but I didn't put much thought behind that. First memory. They took off my clothes so I could eat my birthday cake in my diaper. But the real spark happened as my grandpa backed his truck into our driveway with a tiny plastic pool. But I was so excited, it really sparked something inside of me. That pool meant the world to me. Also, I remember when I realized other people were also awake. My brother said something, I don't know what, but it just kind of occurred to me that I wasn't just surrounded by other NPCs, but other living, breathing, thinking people with their own thoughts and memories. My first memory of consciousness was at about 3 or 4. I was looking at our front door, which had that 70s looking amber glass. My mom was beating me with a boomerang repeatedly. Why a boomerang, you ask? My aunt came from Australia and gave it to me as a gift. I remember holding it all broken as I was bleeding. Great memory which set the tone for the rest of my life. Needless to say, she isn't in my life anymore. 3 years old, I woke up, looked around my room for a bit, went out of my room to the living room where mom and dad were sitting, asked them, so, your mom and dad, right? Confused, they confirmed. I just said all right, since that's all the confirmation I needed, and went to play with my pet shops. Later that night, I explored the rest of the house in secret. Also, read in my children's psychology book that the reason why we have these memories of suddenly being conscious is because we don't make long-term memories like that until between 2 and 5. So that is our first long-term memory we can just pull up, and our kid brains are so weirded out by it, since it's a big step for mental development. I remember being 3 years old and having a panic attack because I felt very weird and self-aware. Back then, I used to describe it as having a camera inside me, like my life was being recorded and viewed. I used to get Alice in Wonderland syndrome a lot, where I'd get this weird rush, and the room felt very small and far away, like I was seeing myself almost in the third person. I still get that sort of anxiety feeling from time to time. It's like a realization of, oh yeah, I'm conscious, and it's pretty wild and weird and complex. And how does everyone else on Earth feel like this? Or probably most don't even think about it. I'm 60 years old. I have lucid memory episodes from early childhood. Moments that stand out from the non-awareness of a small child. They seem to be tied to what I perceived as a traumatic event. I remember knocking over our Christmas tree. I remember a weather service announcement on TV during a thunderstorm. I remember being stung by a velvet ant. I remember my dad abusing my mom. I remember my dad driving at night in a storm and seeing a huge bullfrog hopping across the road. I remember being at a drive-in movie with my parents watching some vampire movie. Eerily, my very first memory, though somewhat vague but still present, goes thusly. I suddenly became aware I was crying in my crib as I lay on my back. I had to have been very, very young, maybe still an infant. I remember being fully aware of my existence and fully lucid. It was as if I was fully aware of myself, my identity, aware I was a human being on earth, aware I was a small child. I had a sense of peace and wasn't fearful. My sense of awareness and lucidity seemed exactly as my awareness does now. It was such a strange experience. That fleeting moment lasted for but a few minutes, and then nothing until a couple of years later. I was probably about 5 years old before my memory turned on full time. Life is strange. My parents had hired a friend's teenager daughter to babysit me. My immediate younger brother needed to go to the doctor or something like that. I was around 18 months old. I remember asking for water and being horrified that I seemingly couldn't speak English. All that came out of my mouth was gibberish. The teen had invited her boyfriend and another teenage couple over, and they kept asking me what I wanted. I kept trying to say that I wanted water, but I couldn't make my mouth work. All that came out was gibberish. They offered me milk, juice, formula, food, and I just wanted water. I was very thirsty, but they couldn't understand me. It was like a horror movie. I was so frustrated and angry. I remember throwing things at them and screaming.